Hey everyone! Welcome to another episode of Existential Side Quests. I'm Jenna,
I'm Kimber.
and today we're going to be talking about relationships and the internet.
Yes. How is technology playing a role in how we connect with people?
Mhm.
And today we have an Aquarius moon right before the eclipse. So, yeah, how does this connect to Uranus and Aquarius, Jenna?
Well, it's interesting because Uranus has to do with technology and innovation and potentially the ways that innovation and technology create unforeseen futures or usher in unforeseen realities, which is essentially what we're talking about. Like, how has technology impacted us by making us more accessible, but also in ways where we're also less accessible in some ways because of it?
Right. Like an Aquarius is the humanitarian and is caring about the collective. So it's all about the collective community. But then there's also that risk for emotional detachment or distance.
Mm.
And so let's go ahead and like pop up just like so the chat can answer while we start talking about it. What do you guys think? Do you think technology is a bridge or a barrier to connection?
Hmm.
Because I think it started as definitely a bridge, right? Like I'm thinking about before we had cell phones or even email, like
Mhm.
the ways you can. I remember just my dad was deployed growing up, and the beginning of his deployments before Skype was a thing, we would maybe get a phone call to our answering machine on our landline. And if we weren't home, you missed it. Or we'd have like handwritten letters that we would maybe get. Was like his very last deployments when we could do Skype or have phone calls. So that was like really great. But I
Mhm.
do think we may have taken it a little far.
Yeah. It's interesting to reflect back, especially during like historic war times when lots of couples and families were kind of divided and they did only have like snail mail letter writing. I've
Mm-hmm.
thought about this leading up to today, but also just in the past, like were relationships just not inherently as bonded and deep back then? Like I don't want to project onto, the people of the 18 and 1700s, but how could they be when you don't have the same amount, the same quantity of access, the same availability of people in order to continue, nurturing those connections and relationships?
Yeah, for sure. I
Hmm.
let's see. So Camille's voting a barrier. Love to hear more. Why you think that? I think so. I mean, because but it's weird because like you were talking about like the snail mail or like the letters, there was not as much access, which made it feel like when you would get a letter, people would like soak it in perfume or they would just kiss it, and you're like, this sleep with this letter, be so excited. And I get excited still when I get like Christmas cards, but how often am I getting a handwritten card in the mail compared to like, back before we had email? And I just keep thinking like we have more access to people, but do we have more connection? Like
Mm.
is access connection? And I think in today's society they're seen as the same thing, and I don't think they're the same.
Yeah, the superficial part of the type of access that we're getting to people, or the type of access that we've kind of, allowed to become what
Yeah.
we're fine with. Like it
Yeah.
used to be when you'd go on a date with somebody, there was the nerves and the awkwardness of the actual energy being together. Not to say that energy isn't felt across the virtual
Yeah.
of everything, but it was such a more sensory experience and like smells wise, the humidity in the air in the room that I'm sitting in, like you're in a completely different state than me. Like this
Yeah.
connection is we're not including all of our senses like we would if we were in person.
Yeah, that is true.
Hmm. I wonder
That
if Virgo or just earth signs in general that tend to be more sensitive to sensory experiences could have a little bit more insight about this than other signs, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Do we have any earth signs in the chat? Let us share. Please share. I
Yeah.
think Leo too, because I think even though Leo's fire is like in the moment,
Mm.
like the
Yeah.
to be in like in that like on the stage, and so the stage is kind of removed,
Mhm.
or like talking or connecting through a screen.
Mm.
And I
And
do
go ahead.
keep going.
Well, the idea of a stage and like the build up to being on stage, and then after the performance is over, like you're backstage, you're with your coworkers, you're getting changed, you're leaving the venue for the night. Whereas like when we do a live stream and then we're suddenly off, it's like you're zapped right back into, okay, I'm alone and I'm in my house. Like it's very like jarring.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. Camille saying, I think it's designed to keep us disconnected, not just from reality and others, but from ourself and from source.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Especially with the advent of, I don't want to say fake news. I know that that's kind of like a term, but like the idea that like what you're viewing online isn't necessarily based in reality at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's from anything from filters to people only sharing certain sides of themselves to AI and the advent of completely falsified versions of truth.
Yeah, I could see it's also because I think it's more, I keep thinking about Venus and Mars,
Mm,
and it's like, liking or like reacting feels very much Venus, and
mhm,
Mars, like the pursuing. But it's like if Venus is all about the aesthetic, like you're talking about with like the filters or how does it look, then we're missing out on like the kinetic or like the movement piece of connection.
mm,
So is can online romance or technology still be kinetic, or is it,
mm.
is, you know what I mean, or does it, because it's, we're not in the same room, so do we have movement
Yeah.
in our relationship?
Yeah,
Because I
that
feel like we do.
well, yeah, this is interesting because like we've only known each other online, but it's
Yeah,
been a few years now that we've known each other.
yeah, we're
And
meeting in September, everybody, so we'll report if it's weird.
we'll go live from the conference and be like,
Right.
this is so different. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good call. Jill is saying, I genuinely think it's both and depends on the relationship. My best friend is long distance, and technology has definitely helped foster and maintain all of my long distance friendships. But honestly, it's very much a barrier in unhealthy relationships of all aspects.
Mm-hmm.
Friendships that lead to FOMO and overthinking if someone is left out, and potential control in romantic relationships. The FOMO factor.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
that's huge.
I totally agree with that. I think too, it's interesting if the relationship started in person and then we use technology as a bridge. I still think it can be a way to like create distance in those relationships, but I feel like it's a little different. And I do agree that it can be, it's like just, I think it's when we're kind of leaning on access more
Mhm.
than actual connection, because it's like, oh, I have a lot of access to people that I'm friends with on social media that know nothing about what's going on in my life.
Mm.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just like I post I like share pictures still, but I don't post a lot on social media right now.
Mhm.
And I was more posting to my close friends anyway. And it was just more like, well, if you know me, if you're my friend, you know what's going on in my life, whether I'm posting or not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's a really good I love that, the access to people not necessarily meaning more connection. There's definitely ways to combat it too, but most of the ways that I think of to combat it involve bringing the relationship into physical reality. Like
say that
with
again. That was like an epiphany. Okay, keep going.
oh, there's ways to like combat the fact that access doesn't always mean
Yeah.
extra access doesn't always mean extra connection.
Yes. What do you mean by combat? Like, what
Like,
are,
remediate it. Like, be like, "Oh, like, I only see this person on X," like, this platform. I don't wanna say X,
yeah,
that's a literal thing. "I only see this person on Facebook. How can I actually bring them into other areas of my life?" Well, one way we actually have a friend that we do mail trades with, so it's, like, physical things that manifest that, like, you're like, "Oh, my friend has actually touched this. This is actually their real penmanship. It's not just typing onto a computer."
I like that. And I was actually just, when you said remediation, I'm think too video calls or face to face, like FaceTime. I'm even thinking about the way we connected. There was like a shift when we were like, because texting, I'm a really bad texter, but I do think when we're just talking through words, and I'm interested if other people disagree with that, because maybe if like words of affirmation are your love language, then seeing the person's face isn't needed to feel like you have connection online. But I do feel like just being able to see your face, then I'm laughing out loud. It's like, when I'll be texting LOL and I'm have a straight face. It's like it's like I'm really focusing on engaging, but I'm just sitting here. And
Mhm.
that feels like I feel like I know you, like I've seen you.
Mhm. Definitely. I think voice memos too,
Yeah,
like,
I love a voice memo.
because you can hear the excitement. You're not trying to interpret tone, or like certain friends who use a ton of emojis versus friends who don't, or like when emojis become loaded, like the thumbs up emoji,
Yeah.
super loaded.
No, I like that. And I like what Andy said about I think online activities can feel like movement because it just makes me think about the variation,
Mhm.
because even when I have an in-person friendship, there's like body language, there's little glances. It's like I'd pass notes, like we're doing little things, we're dropping something off. And it's just if I mix it up with the way, if I'm only engaging with you through likes,
Mhm.
then or through like random responses to your Instagram story, but we're never having FaceTime or it's never a voice memo or there's just like we can't have a phone call. I'm like, I need more like mediums of technology to feel like it's on par with
Mhm.
like an person relationship.
What about video game friends? Do you have any of those?
I don't. My video games that I play are very much like co-op, like in you have to be in the same room as me, or they're my cozy games by myself. My partner does. He has two specifically, but they're cute because they're people he used to work with. It's
Mhm.
their kids who've grown up.
Yeah.
And so it's like he's kept in touch with them as they've grown up and he'll just like hop on like once a week and they talk, but I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to play video games with my friends. But that was just never a way I had relationships.
Yeah. Well, my husband is of the gaming
Yeah.
generation, for meeting people online, from hanging out online, all of it. So he really introduced me to the idea of like we can meet people in gaming lobbies. So and it's funny because like we have friends that were like we literally see them every weekend because we end up playing Call of Duty together as a little foursome and
Hmm.
doing things. But then I create in my mind this narrative about like who they are and the rest of their life. And then at one point we all got chat banned, long story. So we ended up getting on Discord together and like talking through the game but on our phones, and then we're in a Discord group and they
Yes.
wanted to show us something on Instagram, and it's like as we're gaining different platforms and different access to these people, they become real humans. Like it's like the full circle effect of like, oh, I know you as a gamer, but now I see you at a car show and I see
Yeah.
the post that you made about your job, and like I have access to all these other sides of you, where even though we were spending time together hours on weekends every weekend for a while, I still
Mhm.
didn't know these kind of very foundational parts of you that I would know if I was in person.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
It
interesting. I
takes,
definitely
I think sometimes
What's it?
like it takes more. It just takes longer, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless it depends. I think it depends on if you I share more in person, I think, or on video calls than I do via text or on social media, like posts. So
Mm.
maybe for someone else, like if they're sharing just as much or more online than they do in an in-person conversation, maybe it wouldn't be a time situation where it takes longer to get to know them online.
Yeah. And I think too, being mindful of like what the different online technologies give you access to. So for instance, a dating app, you're going to see a snapshot or a couple snapshots out of a person. I've never been on one, or at least not recently, so I'm assuming this is correct. I don't know.
You're
But you're
lucky.
not seeing like the person and how they interact with, you know, just somebody out in the world. You're seeing them put a dating facade on, and that's it. That's the side you're getting of them, how they want to show up in relationship, or how they think they should be showing up in relationship, because the goal of being on that app isn't necessarily to be genuine and authentic. The goal of being on that app is to find somebody to connect with.
Yeah, and I think that's actually really interesting. I'd love if anyone's been on dating apps and wants to weigh in on that. Let's kind of talk about that for a little bit. Um, it's one you want to be there's an algorithm now in social media in general, so if you're trying to get likes, but there's algorithms even in dating apps where if you want to be if you want to have like reach to multiple profiles, then you need to curate based off of what the other person will want, which kind of goes back to our Venus Mars thing, where it's like less about do I want this person and more about I want to be wanted. And then also it's just, I think you said, what did you say? You said it's like what you like, you were talking about motives, or it's like you're making your profile based off of like what you want. And it's like, you know, people are on dating apps for different reasons. Like some people want a long-term relationship and some people just want to hook up. Or like some people just got out of a relationship. And what I've noticed in my experience is I'm pretty honest and upfront about what I want. And then I would go on a date and I think the person would be surprised that that's actually what I was looking for at that time. And it's like where you can kind of sense if someone's coming up to you if in the moment, what are they actually looking for? And online, you can't always get a real sense of if this person is presenting their motives honestly or being like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%, because there is that whole like glitz and glamour of like, well, I'm not going to put this ugly photo of myself online
Right.
because I'm judging it as that. But what if it's a face that you just make constantly in person? Like whether it's so shouldn't you lead with, hey, by the way, this is what I look like, if you're genuinely looking for connection, not just access.
I like what Camille was saying earlier about like there's like this addiction component to being online. And it kind of is like there's this, oh, I need to not have all my pictures with makeup. And so they can see what I look like without makeup. Or it's like I need to be funny. And it's like maybe you're not funny. Like it's just this whole we're trying to beat this algorithm, but it's like we're kind of losing sight of, well, who am I? Like what do I actually like represent versus what is this online brand that's going to get me access to more people?
Yeah. I like how Andy's flipping the script too. I think being in person can be a barrier because I can't get right into the person. That's so true. Like how many times are people like, you want to go to this music show with me? And I'm like, okay, but we're not going to talk the entire time because I can't hear you. I'm just going to nod and smile as if I can because I'm overstimulated. So like, yeah, we're not going to bond seeing our favorite band, even though we're both happy to be there.
Yeah. If that's the only type of thing you're doing in person, then I totally agree with that.
Yeah. But it's like if we could go somewhere that almost stimulates the lack of sensory input. Like, okay, let's go out to a quiet restaurant where the lights are low and we can actually just talk, just the two of us, and the wait staff leaves you alone. They're not trying to rush you out of there. And what does that sound like? A private text room. Like it's, you're not, the sensory stuff you're not seeing as clearly because in a text you're not. But if the lights are low and the mood is such that it's more about the quality of the actual vocabulary interaction.
I can see that. I really I think I get that experience from Everything Under the Sun a little bit. If it could go longer, I think that the difference is that there's a cap on the time. So it's not, you know, because sometimes if you're on a date, you can be like, let's go somewhere else. Like, it's kind of an adventure that flows. And then there's peak periods technology wise because of like, oh, more people are online today, or it's like, it's after this certain time. And so I feel like our timelines, like when we have more access to each other, like you and I are free at different times. So when we're doing like Discord chats, we have like, I might say a bunch of things, but then I don't know when I'm going to get a response because we have different schedules.
Yeah. And the idea of how your chart, your individual constitution interprets those limits, those misalignments, those silences. Like if we're in person, go ahead.
No, I want you to say more about our charts. Yeah.
Well, like, okay, so for instance, this is something we've probably jammed on quite a few times, but because Kimber and I have so many oppositions, like it's very interesting to be like, oh, I show up completely kind of opposite of that. So when we'd be texting about something and then you'd go quiet because you have a life and your life isn't right here, I'd be like, oh, my Leo sun, my audience has left. Oh, she hates me. Okay, we're not friends anymore. I will now go mourn that friendship.
Experiences are so bad at that. Like, I don't want to say general statements, but it's like it's just not personal. It's more like, oh, that's what it's for. Then I'll come back.
Yeah, exactly. And then Kimber would just text me something like we never missed a beat. And I'd be like, oh, we are friends. I was crazy before. Like, it was very like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess I wasn't being, unintentionally insulting or something like that. So it's interesting to think about it like that. But then also, there's part of it too when you mentioned everything under the sun. Well, when Andy flew out here, and then me and Jay Z and Andy went to breakfast with Judy and then Judy's housemate. It was very it was like we were picking up on things that like we wouldn't have picked up on in our online groups. Like for instance, I didn't know that Judy was a vegetarian. And that might seem like a little tiny thing. And of course, she could have just said that in conversation, but
Hmm.
that gives me more information. Okay, so this person has at some point mindfully made a decision about the type of food that they eat. And then it's like, okay, so now I can ask you why about that. And I can also see you interact with the staff and explain and see any anxieties that you have around food preferences or food restrictions. Like it's there's so much, I don't want to say reading between the lines, but just contextual information that comes from being in person that does it come online too?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
That doesn't come from being online.
Right, yeah. Like
Yeah. I'd agree.
yeah, because like, there's some parts of being online, like, when you're especially when you're doing group things online, like when we were in school together or things like that, and it's like, it literally felt like a campus at certain moments where it's like, you knew that person, and you knew this person was always sticking around, and you knew this person was always causing a problem. So it had that vibe to it. It
Yeah.
definitely at least imitates it, but
I could see that. There was something in the chat I wanted to point out before
Mhm.
I get like because there's so many good comments.
Yeah,
Um, was it where are we?
I'm all over the place
I
now.
know, there's good ones.
Jill loves a good voice memo.
Oh, yes, I do
Of
too.
course.
I think like so I wanted oh it was Camille's thing about the comparison game like just because I think and I do see what Andy's saying later which I think I want to go there but
Mhm.
just building connections like if you're trying to build like a romantic relationship. I know I used to love Pinterest when it first came out and I but then someone there was like an article that was talking about where no everyone's like weddings are being compared to what's the Pinterest wedding and it's like people aren't just doing like what would you do if this didn't exist and I think that there's almost this Pinterest feeling to like our vision boards like Pinterest became the way to have a vision board but it's like now we're all using the same thumbnail images as our vision and comparing ourselves and so that's also this weird um like I feel like there's this saturation in this like dating has become this consumerist market where it's like people are goods and it's more
Mm,
like oh I'm talking to all these different people and they're not really real people because there's these profiles and it's like I want to keep all of these relationships open and I'm not it's like but what if this person isn't as interesting as this person and I'm talking more about monogamous relationships but even in like poly relationships at some point you want to still deepen a connection or
mhm,
two or three and it's like but there's a sense of well what about what's going to still be there if we're like maybe I'll miss someone who's like more compatible with me
mhm.
and like I worry about that effect of just like people I mean there's a Reddit about Hinge and it's all about I'm not getting enough likes or I'm not getting like what's wrong with my profile help me fix it and it's just all about like curating this image that's not necessarily like supporting you in true human connection it's just about getting access again.
Yeah, it's funny because the Show Your Workbook talks about this, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
don't start just looking for followers for the sake of having followers. Don't
Yeah.
try to grow yourself just for the sake of growing yourself. Put something out there that actually embodies who you are and something you actually can get excited about. And that therefore the people that are following you, the quality of the people that you start to attract, it might not be the same quantity as hiring someone to get a bunch of almost like bots watching your profile, but instead find people who truly resonate with it because that's going to be more fulfilling.
Yeah. I feel like this definitely could be a generational thing as well. Like just when were you on social media? Like at what age was that a thing? And just like how it's really different when like social media was a thing while I was in high school and college and online dating was big when I was in college. And so I think that they're like the way my age group in like feels about social media, or needing to have distance between it, or kind of yearning for human connection while still using social media, is maybe more unique to that than generations that got to have social media after having their youth without it.
Yeah.
Because like I put my phone down while I'm at a dinner table with people, but I also know people who are like my nieces and nephews who cannot. It's like
Mhm.
it's like you're the worst for thinking that they're gonna talk to you in person and not on their phone.
Yeah. Or the idea of like the for instance, my kids have a stepsister who's a lot of screens. So like when they're all together, it would be unfair for me to be like, actually be off your phones at dinner, even
Yeah.
though or their cousins that are on their phones all the time. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, why should I make my kids have a different set of expectations than their peers?
Yeah.
So path, I guess the lowest common denominator is that, yep, you're going to have access to it, but then it's a slippery slope into like, okay, the dopamine drip of doom scroll of whatever it is that you're doing becomes something that you can't live without. And then the quality of your interactions in person, they go down. So then these possibly low quality online only interactions, like your threshold for what feels like a rewarding relationship is so much lower at that point
Mm-hmm.
that it's almost like you don't know what you're missing.
And that's a good point. I think what Andy was saying makes me think about, it's like some of us are going on to social media to connect,
Mhm.
but a lot of times there's the doom scroll comment. It's like we're lurking, or we're watching, and we're not, that's not connection. And it almost can increase this anxiety about actually like connecting, or like, commenting, because we're getting into this phase of like, I see a lot of people who are watching stories on Instagram
Mhm.
or Facebook, but then they're not engaging. And that's kind of like, just I think everyone gets on social media for a different reason. And
Mhm.
so I think I'm viewing it of like, I've just seen that's where my generation, like in the people I'm around, there seems to be a lot more lurking than like engagement,
Mhm.
or viewing their friends more as fans and sharing like this day in the life situation versus friends. And it's all very curated and like perfect.
You remember MySpace? Did you have MySpace?
Yes, I loved MySpace.
But it was like the top 8, and like if your friend pissed you off, you'd like
Oh
move
yeah, you'd
them
reorder it.
down.
Yeah, well that was not nice. But
No, no, no. It just reminds me of that where it's like this is like a social hierarchy game. Oh, like it can be seen that way because honestly, since joining the Moira Press, I've completely kind of done this like I don't even want to say 180 because it's not even the opposite. It's just this completely new way of experiencing social media where I used to look at my friends who posted a lot and tried to have this like personality like, oh, I'm so grateful for my amazing husband and my wonderful children and every day is a blessing and blah blah blah, blah. And I'm just like, yesterday you were telling me how much you hate your life, like what is happening? And it's like, yes, both can be true. And I used to kind of be like, well, this isn't genuine because you're not posting the whole thing. And it's like, well, no, they are being genuine. This is still a version of what they experience. It might not be the only thing that they experience, but then also, I found that a lot of those friends were really tied up in the likes and in the approval and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Whereas with the Moira Press, it feels more like we're like, oh, there are interactions, or oh, there are not interact. Like it's there's no judgment around it. There's no weight to it. So
yeah,
it's tricky though because I can't imagine being on like a dating app and being like, oh, nobody likes me, and not taking that personally, or like I'm not getting any matches. Like, oh, that's hard to not feel like is a personal thing.
yes. But I think what you're saying about the engagement part of like Moira Press, Facebook, they're asking questions, and
Mhm.
sometimes people are asking questions on their stories on Instagram, but it's like, I think if your goal is to get a like or to get a match, and not actually following up, like, there's people who, like, yes, they're getting matches, but then you start a conversation and then it dies almost immediately.
Mhm.
Because, or like, we've also been on dates where you're asking all the questions, they're answering them, and then looking back at you, and it's like, how am I supposed to keep engaging if like this isn't an interview? Okay, like, just it should be a back and forth. But I'm just like, I don't know, like, unless you actively set up, okay, I'm going to use social media to engage people. So I'm going to ask people questions on my Facebook wall or my Instagram story, then you'll get engagement. But a lot of times it's like, well, my goal is to get likes or to get
Mhm.
views. Not my goal, but you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
then you're not really asking questions or trying to learn more about this other person. It's just showing this is me, like
Mhm.
me.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think about the evolution of technology as now having these like nuanced layers and different
Yeah.
approaches. We were talking a little bit before the show started about the first kind of internet presence of internet relationships and connections, and the chat rooms of the 90s, the late 90s, where you jump in the chat room and the first thing everyone would say was age, sex, location. Like, and it was just everyone was kind of reduced down to just those three
Mm.
statistics. And then you'd be like, oh, okay, that person is 19 female from California and I'm 19 male from California. Oh, here's my connection. Like that was it. Whereas now with Tinder, I always go to say Grinder. I'm sure it's the same on both though. But it's almost like age, sex, location is like doesn't
There.
matter. Like you have so much more to choose from.
And it's embedded in your little like top of your bio. Yeah.
Yeah, they're only going to show you people with your age range, your location range, and your sexual preference to see
Mhm.
who it is. So it's interesting how specific things have gotten, really. Yeah. And the fact that you can't lie anymore. Like how I mean, this
Well,
might just be me and my friends. Oh,
what
you can lie. You're right. You're right. Catfishing's a thing. But we'd be like 12 in these chat rooms and be like, we're 16 or like we're 18. And that was naughty. Like you shouldn't be
that
doing
was,
that.
yeah, don't do that.
It was dangerous. No kids should be watching this as an adult show. But if they are, don't do that. It's naughty. All right, Andrea got really philosophical.
Oh,
Are
she's
humans a body or are they a series of thoughts? I know it's both, but a person is their thoughts. Oof.
Yeah, I think to me, it's you are sharing, like, if you're comfortable sharing, are you sharing your true thoughts? Are you sharing your true self on social media? I think some people use social media to have you share a different side of themselves.
Mm. Hmm.
So, because I mean, technically, like Reddit is the social media, but it's anonymous.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
you can be a different person. And so it's more like, do we trust that this person is their thoughts online the same as the person in person? Then yeah.
Or people who have like anonymous accounts or like secondary accounts where they like actually say the things they want to
Oh yeah,
say.
what's it called? A Finsta?
Is
Like
it? I don't know.
a lot of kids have Finstas, like fake Instagrams that their parents aren't on, or it's like, or but you can have them as an adult too, where you have different social media accounts.
Yeah, like this is the account where I'm sassy in public, where I'm going to say the joke that I don't want to actually be associated with.
Yeah.
So
What else is going on in the chat?
we have another comment from Andy. The reason Moira Press lives online is our target group is advanced astrologers. It isn't an addiction as much as a choice, although it is addictive because it's so fun. That's a great point, Andy, because honestly, to find more members of a niche community can be incredibly hard
Yeah.
without the accessibility that the web offers.
And I agree. Like most of my astrology friends, I would have never met. Even the ones I've met in my city, I first met or connected with through being online. And
Mhm.
so I definitely am for on like technology, and I think it can be relationship building, and it's like really important for networking. I just think that I also like in-person relationships as well. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking for like the way we use technology, at what point does it become a like you kind of like does it become a barrier or like pulling us distance, like it's like, oh, we know each other, we see each other's lives, but are we still engaging? Because I think there are some of my friends on social media that I do engage with, and then there's some that I don't. It's a very passive relationship, and like those aren't the same level of connection.
Mm. Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. I also think about technology in terms of giving people accessibility to relationships that otherwise might feel too vulnerable, spaces to step into. Like for instance, when anonymous program meetings started being online, as far as
Mhm.
I know, that was really with the pandemic, because
Yeah.
before that, it was considered unsafe. It was considered, oh, anyone could infiltrate the firewall. Oh, you don't know who else is in the room,
Mhm.
things like that. But now it's like, from the comfort of your own home, you could find community within your struggles with addiction, with alcoholism, with obsessive compulsive, with eating issues. Like there's so much more. And it feels, at least to me, less loaded than getting in the car, driving to the meeting, sitting down in a physical space where there's potentially a lot of other people's vulnerabilities, other people's triggers, other people's, everything that could come up for you. Like that, it can take a lot to step out of your comfort zone into that, and perhaps an online meeting feels less risky.
I mean, it's not the same, but I think about that with like, I prefer online shopping to
Mm,
in person. It's just like less daunting. I don't know.
yeah.
That's such a light thing connect compared to anonymous meetings.
No, but like online shopping, it's kind of like Tinder is online speed dating in a way. Like you're online shopping
Mm,
for, in a rapid fire kind of way, like Tinder being a mall, speed dating kind of being a mall too. And you're like, oh, which one of these stores do I actually want to spend some time in? So,
right. Oh, okay.
all right, Camille, I'm a Leo sun. Woo, Leos. And this is so not me because I disconnect from my phone and texts religiously. That must be in response to me being like, Kimber, where did you go?
Yeah.
Yeah, not all Leos. Hi, Percy. When texting, all the nonverbal communication channels disappear. There's no body language, no facial expressions, and no tone of voice. I think that leaves a lot of room for misunderstandings. Yes.
I
Yes.
agree with that. I mean, and I used to teach and I also used to facilitate PDs for teachers. And it's interesting doing it in person versus Zoom. And we did a lot more on Zoom in COVID. And I think when it's a small group, like 10 and under, you can see everybody. You still don't get the same feeling of the body language that Percy's talking about. But it's like if I'm sharing something that I want to kind of feel what's the vibe in the room, like maybe I should add more rationale. Like this doesn't, it's like you don't get that vibe. But when you're doing a PD or a training for 100 people, you can't see all the faces on the screen at once.
Yeah.
And especially people are off camera. It's just definitely different for sure. Like I
The
like
whole
the body language.
off camera is could be a whole topic in itself, because going off camera, did you go off camera at me? Or did you go off camera because something's actually going on in your house? How am I going to interpret
Yeah.
it? Like it's so
Mhm.
loaded. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. But yeah, we do end up kind of assuming tone or bringing our own kind of baggage to a text conversation,
Mhm.
even with the thumbs up thing. Like I have a friend who like was a friend 10 years ago who hated the thumbs up. And if anyone ever did the thumbs up, like they were in a fight, that must be what it means. So in my mind, I was like trained, you do not thumbs up anything. So like I still to this day have that where I'm like, Jenna, don't thumbs up it. You either heart it or you laugh it or you do something. Have
That's
a
so
big
funny.
yeah.
It is no, because that's also like my mom does, she'll say okay, like just the O and the K in a dot. And that's rude. Like you like there's just like I'm like, spell out okay. It's so funny because it's like again, it's just different generations, but also like or now it's my nieces and nephews are telling me I'm cringe because I say LOL or because I use the wrong laughing face. Now they use something else. And
Mhm.
like, okay. Like it's just where you're received differently, where this isn't rude. She's just saying okay. But I'm
Mhm.
like, why'd you put a period? That's so short. Like, and just she's like the punctuation.
Yeah, like punctuation period is
Right.
rude now on texting and things like
Like,
that.
yeah, like I'm nitpicking about the way okay is spelled, even though it's still the okay that I was looking for. It's really
Mhm.
how we can like project onto text.
Or how many dots somebody uses, like dot, dot, dot is different than dot,
Hmm.
dot, 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 dot.
Yeah.
Oh,
We had a couple online dating comments
mm,
that yes, very much like it just feels like shopping. It's that like that mall thing you were talking about.
yeah. Online dating very quickly leads to maybe the next person will be better, like FOMO.
It's a little different from speed dating too, right? Because there's like a speed dating event and then
Mhm.
you have to wait till the next event. And it's like,
Mhm.
well, this is available 24/7. Like
Yeah,
right after you have a date, you can go.
go right to yep.
Yeah.
And in speed dating, it's like you get that little time together and that's it. Whether you want it to be that long or you want it to be even longer, whatever. It's like when you're texting someone on Tinder, it's like if you spent that same amount of time and then just kept moving on, it's not clearly defined boundaries, so that it's even more loaded when those conversations start or end soon.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah, so Jill is not into online dating.
Yeah. I do have a question around ghosting, and I'm curious what other people think. I know we have a lot of comments, so put a siren in there, and just if there's something you really want to make sure that we read, please put it back in there. But it's ghosting online or like just not talking. Is that a tech problem or is that a courage thing? Like, do you think ghosting has increased with technology?
I'm writing
It's
it.
always been an issue.
Has it always been an issue?
Okay.
All right.
Wait, did you see Shane's comments around the emojis?
No.
They're so true. They do use the sob emoji for laughter. It's like you got to keep. It's like, where am I supposed to know this stuff?
Or the skull and crossbones. I'm late to that party, but I'm trying to use it now.
Yes, and
Yeah.
then the dot 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 is, yep, ellipses is passive aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But like 5 dots is like, I want to talk to about this more. Like it's like a little bit like I think it can be sassy, but it's also like I'm ready to fight. Like it's got a lot behind.
Okay.
Maybe I'm too much of a boomer and like that's not actually relevant.
Yes, like I don't know. I used to feel like I was in the know. Then I stopped teaching middle school, and so they weren't telling me when I was like being uncool.
Yeah, apparently 6'7" is no longer cool. I'm holding on to
It
it.
was, I didn't. I never understood it.
Yeah,
So
I don't really either. I just say it a lot, and my kid's reaction has shifted completely. Oh,
uh,
Jill said, "I think ghosting has always been an issue, but it's more obvious when the amount of with the amount of access we have to people now."
yeah, I think too, like ghosting at the like before the first date phase or even after the first date isn't seen as offensive or personal as it used to be. I think it's become sort of not expected, but it's more common of okay, like maybe it feels more like ghosting if we've gone on several dates or we're in a relationship or I thought we were in a relationship versus you'll be talking to multiple people online dating and then they just stop responding and it's like, oh, that's like part of the experience, it seems. Like, oh yeah, we stopped talking, or like they just stopped responding. So they probably found somebody and didn't feel like it was worth a conversation.
Yeah, it's like this increase in overall acceptance of passiveness
Mm-hmm.
instead of a promotion of assertion. Like it
Right.
used to be like if you were ready to be done dating someone, you told them.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's what like I really let's what did now there's more. I wanted to say something about what Brian said, but I missed that there were other posts about this.
Mhm.
So Shane agrees with Jill, and Jill's like, if someone didn't call you back on the house phone, we never assumed anything. But now if someone doesn't return a call or text and you see them on social media, that doesn't feel good.
Mhm.
What do you think?
I'm just reminded of like times when I've been ghosted and it's so confusing because I'm like it ends up it starts on social media because that's where we do have the most access. And then you see the person in real life and it's like, oh wow, our relationship really has shifted. This is the way I'm affirming what I thought I was experiencing on.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think too, I agree with Brian saying maybe no, if I meet someone in person, ghosting still feels rude or immature. And Camille added that as well. Like I think if we've exchanged phone numbers, it's not that I would ghost, but it's more if someone were to ghost me, but we were still on the profile, the app, it doesn't bother me. But it's like if you have my phone number and if we've met in person, it's like how hard is it just to say, hey, there's a different connection I'd like to explore, or like I think you're great, but I don't see this going anywhere. I think some people think that would hurt their like hurt the other person's feelings, but I'm like, just end it. Like, I don't know.
Mm, yeah.
I
It's
think ghosting is unkind.
is what?
Ghosting is unkind.
Mm, mm. And
Yeah.
Andy's saying online dating is amazing from a manifestation perspective. You can put out what you are looking for straight. That is so true. People
Yeah.
have to trust you're being genuine, though.
Yes. And all you can do is, again, it's like you can be genuine and make sure you're putting it out, and then you're going to attract people who aren't and people who are.
Mm, yeah,
Um,
that's a good point. You can only really control what you're putting out there. So,
I know we only have 15 minutes. There's two things I want to go
yeah.
talk about, but can we talk a little bit about technology within these relationships that are also in person? So like
Mm,
have like people, so we're going away from online dating and thinking about just different ways we use technology in our relationships as they move on.
mhm.
um I'm thinking a little bit like, what do we think about constant access, like sharing your location with a partner or having your kids location? Like, what do we think about, is this good, is this bad?
I definitely think it's a tool. It's a tool, and that's the best way to put it because
Yep,
this
Camille, mine. Sorry,
what's it?
she literally put location sharing with partners in the chat.
Well, okay, so I had talked to my husband about sharing location, and he's actually really against it. And
No,
if
I'm against it, but my partner isn't. That's so I'm like, I'm torn. I like that you say it's a tool, so
Mhm.
keep going.
Okay, because the thing is, I look at it as a tool because it can help to ease my anxieties about, like, oh, you're running late. Are you dead? Oh, wait, no, I see you. You're just driving down a road. Like, everything is fine. Meanwhile, it's a tool for me to curb my own anxiety and not overly pester my partner.
Yeah,
However, this tool also enables me to stay in my kind of sick mind rather than working through those anxieties and being like, just because my partner's late does not mean a catastrophe has happened.
yeah.
But the
No,
reason Sam's so against it, my husband, because he says that it takes the surprise or the whimsy out of our relationship. Like, he's pointed out that he's bought me things and then brought them home and it was a surprise, or he went and did something. And if I had happened to track him, I would have seen he was doing something or he'd gone somewhere. And I wouldn't have that element of whimsy about not knowing his every move.
I think too, it's like, how are you using the location? It's like I share my location, like Camille was mentioning, with like my best friends, and I'm big on, if I'm driving like across country, I'll share my location so people know
Mhm.
where I'm at. Or if like there's bad weather, I'll share my location. I like to share it at certain times. I think, I know people who have kids, and so they share location because the partner has kids and they want to make sure they know where they're at. But I'm like, it's weird if I don't want to be very aware that you have my location. So if you abuse it, you're not going to keep it. It's like where, if I'm at McDonald's getting some like, like shame cookies or shame French fries or something, and then you're like, what are you doing at McDonald's? You're losing my location. Like, you can know these things, but I'm like, I only look at your location if I'm waiting to see, like, you're trying to, it's like, if I'm waiting for you to meet me, then I'll look at your location. But otherwise, I'm not, like, I know I have it, but I'm not thinking about it. So it's
Mhm.
a little strange when it's like, you're not waiting on me. So you're just gonna go and look at where I'm at, and then you're gonna make it me know about it. And now I feel watched. I don't like that feeling.
It's invasive,
Yeah,
right?
it is. It's very invasive. I think that's just, I don't know. I'm torn on it.
It's interesting because, like, I do share a location with my kids, and that feels to me like I'm one of those parents that's like, you write in your diary and that's for you. You have your relationships with your friends. I'm not trying to like sneak in and read stuff or anything like that. I know there are parents who think that we should read our kids' texts. And for me, it's just my own shit probably. I don't read my kids' texts or anything like that, but I have their location and I will always have their, like, well, until they kick me off when they're old, but it helps me to be like, you are safe and I know that you're safe, and I know that if anything, gosh forbid, were to happen, we can have some data, some information about where you last were, what the movement
Right.
is, things like that. So a tool for safety. But then I also have my ex-husband's location. And that I know that's weird when I don't have my actual husband's location, but that prevents us from getting in fights because he's chronically late. And I'm not like, where are you? Where?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I think that makes sense, but it's still like it's for a purpose.
Hmm.
It'd be weird if you're looking at it when you're like your kids aren't with him or you're not doing that trade-off. Like that's like
Yeah.
what's the purpose here?
Just like FOMO nosiness, I
Yeah.
guess. If I like right now, he's on a tropical vacation with his partner. Like, if I'm like, where in Puerto Rico are you right now? That would be a little bit psycho.
Mhm.
I know
Yeah.
he's not watching this stream, so I don't have to worry that he's thinking I'm about to do that. The only other person I share location with, though, and this one is one of those borders of like, is this is weird? I think it is weird, is my birth father. And because we don't really talk all the time. However, we use it to kind of feel a sense of like connectedness where it's like,
Mhm.
ooh, I wonder what they're up to. But we have this weird strain in our relationship because his current living situation does not appreciate me. I don't get along with them, but we still want to have this connection that feels like it isn't as loaded for us to just be like, ooh, I miss you. But if we send each other a text like that, it can quickly turn into this like overcompensating for the fact that we're not allowed to really communicate that often.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
So it's like a tool for feeling a level of like band-aid connection.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which can be messy. I wouldn't
With
recommend it.
location or like
Yeah, because like you feel like you know what the person's doing or what they're up to because you see their little dot there, but it's not, you don't really know what they're doing or what they're up to.
yeah.
So it can contribute to like false narratives.
What are other ways we might use technology in our relationships besides location sharing?
Mm, mm. Well, we can talk about like virtual pick me ups, things like that, where it's like I send you emojis and
We
gifs.
love memes and gifts, yes.
Like, just because
Yeah.
I think it's contributes to a conversation.
Yes.
Like little gifts, little memes, little callbacks to shows.
That's
That could
so
be fun.
funny. You're making me think when I'm on the phone with my best friend, we're on the phone talking and we'll still be sending memes and gifts, like connected to what we're talking about. And it's just, yeah, I could see that.
Well, we kind of do it in person nowadays too. Like when people, for me, it's quoting Borat. Like there's a lot of like little like Borat quotes getting thrown around, or The Office, things like that. And I think that it takes a level of neurodiversity to fluidly and constantly do
Yeah.
that. Whereas with gifs and memes and things like that, it's more accessible. It's more kind of like built into the foundation of internet type connection.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I
Mm.
mean, I think that's where we get the whole chronically online when you're up to date with like the current social media trend and then you're quoting it or talking about it in person.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I am chronically online. And so I feel like I've mentioned TikTok often. It's like, oh, I
Mhm.
TikTok.
Yep.
Mm-mm.
I think I'm a little too old to fully understand TikTok. I have a TikTok,
It's like Instagram Reels. It's
but you'll be watching someone live and there's like all these like weird coins and like emojis like floating everywhere. It's a lot. There's it's probably a learning curve, but
I do agree with like there's certain social media like I used to have certain platforms and then I just was like, I've aged out of it. But there is a point where, you figure out what your platforms are and it's like there could be a new one that comes up. Like I
mhm,
don't know if COVID hadn't happened, would I have ever gotten on TikTok? I don't know. And I'm
mm,
not on it as much as I used to be. I think I noticed like I was trying to show a funny video to someone and I could not find it. I was like, oh my God, how many videos have I seen since then? I felt
mhm.
is rotting, but I think I don't know if I will be downloading a new social media app. I like Facebook. I will have Instagram again one day. Like I'm like TikTok's cool. Snapchat's no longer. It's a lot. And there's always going to be something new.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about blue, is it called Blue Sky? Do you know?
No, see, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
have
I can't I was like we were on there was the mass exodus to go to X versus the mass exodus to go to something else. And then now Blue Sky is more accessible to certain things. And then there's always that constant kind of like chase of like, well, which platforms are monitored? Which platforms are certain things going to be taken down? Or are we
Mhm.
not going to be able to access stuff? Like YouTube, for example, takes down videos if there's copywritten music in the background. Who knows?
I I think I have a rage question I want to end on.
Yeah.
What do you think about, like, I saw this news story on TV around like falling, like someone who fell in love with AI. And it's not a person, or it's like, people who use AI as like their therapists or to get advice.
Mhm.
What do we think, people? Because that is connection, especially like if you don't have people to connect with.
Mhm.
But it's also not a human, and there could be like ramifications. So I'm like just curious, where is everyone land on the building a okay, Camille. Camille put a vomit face for anyone that's watching from Facebook. But it's like, where do you feel like, where are you at with like connecting with AI?
Wow, Shane says connecting with AI is very dangerous.
Yeah, because I mean it's a tool, and it is weird because it, like, you can tweak how it talks to you, or it's just, it, I don't know. It's like you can feel, you can build this relationship if you, especially if someone's using it every day. Like,
Mhm.
I keep thinking about that. I don't actually want to bring up that person, but it's like, on TikTok where people are talking to AI and like building relationships with them and like saying, well, ChatGPT said I could do this or said this is fine. So, and sometimes they actually believe that. And I do think about like if a 14-year-old is having a conversation with AI, how scary that can be. And Shane just brought up younger people.
Mm.
Mm,
I love that Shane says that AI will rarely give you any sort of conflict, so you never learn how to handle disagreements. That's such a good point.
right.
Did you see that episode of, I think it's called Black Mirror, where, and it might be a completely different show, but it was a dystopian style thing where if your partner passed away, you could send away to this company,
I saw
about.
this on Law and Order like 2 weeks ago. They had like a grief bot situation where you could then talk to your past loved one, or so. I'm like, that would actually help with grief. And yet it could also cause some like bereavement psychosis.
Yeah.
Um, this is making me think though how it's like when Andy was talking about like building relationships and like the AI, like we know it's making me think about the algorithm. Sorry, I just like went on this little rabbit hole of my mouth. But it's like, where we are adults and like we were on Instagram before there was an algorithm fully, or
Mhm.
before there were targeted ads. And so I can like go around and I can fix my algorithm if it gets wonky. Like if I search too many things, I'm like, no, I'll replace it. But if you're a younger person, and this is just making me think not only with AI and like how that it's a language model, but it's also that if I'm on YouTube and I'm watching one, like it's so quickly you can get into this weird pipeline algorithm where you're in like this extremist views and getting kind of like absorbing information and meeting people that I would not be healthy for you to like be involved with. And
Mm.
like how to kind of like, I just think that the algorithm piece is what I think has shifted what social media was designed for,
Yeah.
because you're not fully in control of like what you like get from it if you're not
Mhm.
aware of the fact that there is an algorithm to begin with.
Like then the algorithm, I can see with an argument for like why it's good because it's optimizing and giving you things that like you'll actually want and be happier that you found. However, as far as like having an actual worldview or really knowing what's going on, it gets right into the whole AI is not going to set you up to understand how to handle disagreements or how to handle contrasting viewpoints if your algorithm is again only feeding you things
Yeah.
you want.
Can you, I know we are almost over, but it's like, can you put up Shane's comment about social anxiety? Just
Mm.
really like the that it's you're not interacting with real people, so it can soothe social anxiety, but it's not improving it. And I
Mhm.
think a lot with the doom scrolling situation as well.
Or even the whole, I'm going to locate my partner because I'm anxious that they're dead, not home, rather than sitting with the fact that, like, why am I having these not based in reality catastrophizing thoughts? It's like a band-aid again. So a social anxiety band-aid by having these interactions and relationships.
And then I like what Jensen was saying. I wonder how it helps anyone experiencing deep loneliness, which connects to the grief AI you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm popping it up there. Hi, Jensen.
I mean, everything, like so many things that turn into something dark have a good intention or like they were a good idea to begin with, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
so, I just don't think it can replace the experience of human connection. Like online human connection is just can't compare to an AI connection. Like it's amazing. Like it just like you can that's a real human being even if you're not in person.
I agree. So tiered levels.
Yeah.
We can
Last
say online and in person, there's arguments that they're equal or one might benefit the other. But as far as AI being your friend,
yeah. Okay.
probably not a great idea. Do you
This
want to say anything about next week's or?
Well, I want to thank everyone for engaging in the chat. That was really interesting. We are going to be exploring for our final week in February. We're going to be exploring, I just blinked on it. Oh, platonic intimacy versus romantic intimacy. So,
Mhm.
is romantic love the like pinnacle of intimacy, or is platonic or friendship just as valuable? That is what we're going to be talking about.
It's going to be a juicy topic. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you later.
Bye.